code in the box on it, that it was in fact an early distribution. But it's worth asking your client the question to see if perhaps they do meet an exception in order to avoid that extra 10%.
Back to your marketplace statement, he's only entitled to like $368
Okay,
because of the tax credit.
okay, thank you.
So obviously that.
So I kind of flubbed up this whole thing, but once again, it's just for demo.
Yeah.
And we didn't cover it.
But just go back and fix that.
So
Go
if
back
that,
to the 5329, where you've got the code.
Oh, right.
And fix it for the right amount of the exclusion.
Exclusion, yeah. How much was
but if they're taking an early withdrawal from their retirement because they've lost their job, don't you need to explore with them all the exclusions they might have involved? That you can't just say, okay,
Yes, which I
he
think
got
is
$5,000 and maybe used $2,000 on insurance, but there's
Use the
other
rest for-
things to thoroughly explore
Right.
all of their exemption options to minimize how much that 10% they have.
Yes, that's a good point. All right, the final thing, yes,
Is it only if the IRA SEC box is checked?
well, for insurance premiums, you'll notice in the exception code explanations,
Right.
it has to, only for an IRA, is that one of the exceptions, if it's used for health insurance premiums.
Yeah, because code 7 can also be a regular distribution from a pension plan.
When it's on the 1099. Right, these are the exception codes.
Well, that's what I'm looking for, looking at the 1099, and the code is.
No, but
Oh,
these
the
codes
one.
go on the 5329. These aren't the codes on the 1099. The code 7 you're talking about for a regular distribution is the code on the 1099.
Right, so when I look at this code 1 here, I'm assuming that he took a distribution for no justifiable reason.
Known to the employer.
Known to the payor, right.
Okay, and in the past, I guess we haven't asked that question because we hadn't.
No, not really.
Well, but not to the step, because in the past, they said, yes, I took it because I needed it for living expenses. And we might explore a little bit further, was it for health reasons or education or to buy a home? But most people said, no, I needed it for living expenses and we didn't do anything else.
Right.
In this case, on that second 1099, you would use code 02, made as paired of a series of substantially equal payments.
I was gonna say, that code 1 on that 1099 is probably correct because even though he's under 55, if it's substantially equal payments, then he doesn't have to pay the 10% withdrawal.
Right.
So as
So
an
he could
annuity,
be-
it's substantially equal payments,
The-
which means it's, code 1 is correct on that.
So the point being, there can be more than one exception to an early distribution. Okay, the last thing I want to look at then is the long-term capital loss carry forward. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because it's on the test, but we don't really deal with it in training. So all capital gains and losses are reported where?
Schedule D.
Schedule D. So you're going to go to your tree and click on your Schedule D, which will already be there. And you scroll down to the long-term section because you know it's long-term. And scroll down a bit more. And line 14 you will see is the long-term capital loss carryover. And you'll notice it's already in brackets. So you enter it as a positive number. TaxWise already knows that it's going to be subtracted. So you just enter the amount there, the $850.
But that's line 13,
That's in the
isn't it?
wrong line.
That's not the right line.
Oh, are they both? Long-term capital loss, yeah, it is. That was right. Long-term capital loss carryover.
I thought that was where
Oh,
line
14.
13.
Yeah, it's like second, this is spouse's long-term period.
And he has the spouse, so he can
Okay,
PJ.
so, this is what we're gonna do on all of our tax returns. You're
Hold it
gonna,
up.
we'll do the interview, prepare the tax return. Of course, when you're interviewing your client, some of the questions about health care, health coverage, health insurance and health coverage are gonna come up and you're gonna ask at that point. But, primarily what we're gonna do is first prepare the tax return and then we're gonna deal with the ACA. If your client tells you that the primary taxpayer and everyone in his household had health coverage for all of 2014, thank your tax return gods and go to page 2 of the 1040, scroll to line 61, and you just click that little box that says full year coverage. Done. And you are done with the ACA. Lucky you. Okay, so for those people who don't have full coverage all year for everyone on the return, you're going to go to worksheet 8. My suggestion is that you start with worksheet 8. It's going to be red once if you check the line 61 box, worksheet 8 goes away and it won't be red. Otherwise, worksheet red is going to be red in your tree. It is tiny. And you'll notice here on worksheet 8, everyone in the tax household is listed. Market and exemption. So, one person in the household might have had coverage all year, whereas maybe the dependents didn't, or spouse didn't, or whatever. So that's why each individual, well, not what, but each individual is accounted for separately. So full is self-explanatory, right? That means if someone had full coverage, full MEC as it's known, minimum essential coverage. Market is if they purchased insurance in the marketplace. And exemption is if they have the exemption for the year. The cheat sheet on worksheet 8 is on the back of page 9. And the huge takeaway from this is you only check a box for months when there is no coverage and no exemption. Again, you only check boxes under the months column if there's no exception and no insurance. So we're going to work through this one by one. And what do we know about Spencer? We know he didn't have full coverage all year, right? Because he lost his job in February. What else do we know?
He bought in the marketplace.
In the marketplace, so we're going to check market.
After you lose your job, how many days do you have to apply in the marketplace?
60 days.
I do less than that.
thought it was 90 for 24.
No, you have 60 days
it's
as an
60.
exemption to go and buy an insurance, but you have 3 months without insurance that is still okay.
Okay, he purchased his on May 5th.
So he didn't pay, he didn't have it in March and April.
I don't know how I got marketplace insurance.
March and April.
Well, he bought it on May,
No,
what?
he bought it in April, and he started out in May.
Isn't
No,
that
it
what
says
it
it was
is?
May 5th before he got around to buying his motorcycle.
So if he bought it on May 5th, his insurance would not go into effect until June.
Correct.
So he didn't have it for March, April, and May.
Right, so one of the exemptions is if you have a short coverage gap, meaning less than 3 months. Spencer did not because he went a full 3 months without insurance. So he has no exemption. So for those 3 months, March, April, and May, you check the box. Those 3 months, he had no exemption and no health insurance.
The one that they don't have it.
Even if it's on here that he did, on the 1095A in May, he had insurance. Yeah, according to the 1095A.
that up too.
I mean, I think
Including us?
Let's just pretend it says June on that.
Oops.
that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are you're just the greatest teachers. Next year, I'll get this all right. Don't count on it. Okay. Charlotte, who's the girlfriend,
She doesn't have it.
she's got no insurance. Do you think she meets any exemption?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
She has no income. She has no income.
No, she's
But
part of his
remember,
household.
she's part
Oh,
Part
how?
of his
She's part
household.
of Spencer's household.
So she doesn't meet that exemption.
So she has no insurance and no exemption. And so all of her boxes have to be checked.
Because he could get insurance.
Yes. Through Medicaid?
How would he get insurance for her?
He would have to buy insurance for her in the marketplace. Okay. Eva, who is Charlotte's daughter, we know that Charlotte enrolled Eva in CHIP, correct?
On March 15, which is our April.
Right, so Eva was without insurance for January and February.
In March.
She enrolled her on March 15th.
She enrolled her in March. Okay, so there's no delay with CHIP. You enroll and you have, and remember, with insurance, if you have it for just one day of the month, you're considered covered for the entire month.
Okay, okay.
So Eva was only 2 months without insurance. So what are you gonna do for her? Exemption, very good. So you check the exemption box.
Oh, because it's less than 3 months.
Right, and the 2 months?
You check it.
No,
Then you check.
You don't have to check
No,
the,
you won't.
once
She
you
has-
check the exclusion, exemption.
Yes, perfect, okay.
So clarification for the interpreter, we do or do not check January and February?
Do not.
You only check the boxes if they didn't have insurance and they didn't have an exemption. Those two things have to be met.
You've got them all checked, so I'm checking.
No, so the
Actually-
line, yeah, go ahead.
That's for Jordan.
The line underneath, all these check boxes you see under Eva, those are if the person is under the age of 18. Because the individual responsibility payment is half for those under 18 than for adults. And because people might turn 18 during the year, that's why they have, it's all the way. You have a checkbox for each month, as opposed to just one box that says she was under 18. TaxWise did that. Emily didn't have to check all those boxes. TaxWise recognizes that she was under 18 all year, and so they did that for us. What I don't know, what I haven't tested yet, is if someone turns 18 during the year, if TaxWise acknowledges that too, and if it'll only check the boxes up to date of birth, and then we'll see.
Try it right quick.
If it turns 18 during the year, then they're not under 18 all year.
All right, what about Roy? Roy's the brother who is permanently disabled. Right, he has Medicaid, so he has full coverage for the whole year. All right, so the worksheet 8 is what calculates the individual, I can never remember the full name, the ISRP, Individual Shared Responsibility Payment. And if you'll scroll down right now, disclaimer, TaxWise has their calculations discombobulated. So it's showing right now a penalty of $128. That's not necessarily accurate. They acknowledge that they're not correct. We have been assured that they're doing a major update, and hopefully in that update will be correct calculations.
On the 9th, we're supposed to do that.
Right.
If Spencer had a dependent living in Mexico with an I-10,
It's an exception.
does their name come up automatically on this form? And
Yes.
it's an exception?
Yes. I mean, everyone in the household is going to show up here.
But the exemption won't automatically come up, will it?
You just
The
need to go and
exemption-
click the exemption?
The exemption won't automatically be entered,
Okay.
so far as
The
I
name
know.
will.
The name will be there, and then you click the exemption box.
That'd be nice if it just knew if it started with a 9, if the social started with a 9.
Also, the ones who has I-10, even if they are in the States, they have an exemption
You had to have a social security.
to buy insurance.
So, you know, what we need to keep in mind is that we're all learning this. You know, this is what we heard in training, this is, you know, we're all learning this. So we don't, all of the forms are not even completely final forms yet with the IRS. So, the objective of this little demo is to try to at least give you a little bit of head start, and make you feel a little bit more comfortable about how we're going to be dealing with this and what it looks like and the mechanics we go through. Some of the problems are going to be much more complex, particularly if there was a marriage during the year, or if there was an insurance policy purchased and there was a divorce and the policy is being shared by 2 different tax families. Those are the instructions that are not even finalized yet by the IRS. And I was reading through some of the draft forms over the last week,